Good evening. Welcome to the Author's Outpost for this St. Patrick's Day, 2015. I'm one of your hosts, Captain P.F. Dennis.
And hiding over here, apparently under mute, is his tame assistant, Casmodian.
I wouldn't say assistant.
Lackey.
Nah.
Peon.
Partner, because, I can't carry the weight of all this. It's just too much. Anyway, with us tonight is our very special friend, Aleniskendra.
Hello.
Yes, and she is on again this week because of my little error last week in our recording. So you fine folks didn't get a chance to hear us. Only Elijah Thomas did, but,
Well, technically they could hear us, the important people.
That's true. It just wouldn't have made any sense, is the thing.
Yes, us crazy people responding to someone who wasn't there.
Right. I'd have been perfectly happy not to have been there, but,
Wouldn't have made much sense at all.
Anyway, tonight we have a mission review, of The Wounded Wolf by Akrilon that the three of us played and will be discussing. And our Trek episode discussion tonight will be on TOS's Whom Gods Destroy. We have no criteria for choosing. We just kind of pull them right out of the air, so...
Unless you faithful viewers send us in information.
Yes.
Suggestions, hints, things you want to do.
Yep. But first, before we get into any of that, Cast is going to tell me what's going on.
Doom! Well, don't know so much about Doom. There are things afoot, apparently, in the land of Los Gatos, but we don't have a whole lot of really solid information, so I'm not so much going to speak on what's going on there, though apparently there have been some layoffs in the cryptic world. Until I get some more actual real solid information, I don't want to say more than... There are some people, unfortunately, that have been given slips of pink.
No, that's not good.
And I have no idea how that will affect us in the Foundry world.
Well, I would think that if they're cutting back, then they're not going to be thinking of us too much.
That is a possibility, but this is all speculation, and if and when, more emphasis on the if, anything is said, we'll know more, but I don't anticipate there being much discussion of the personnel at the studio.
No. Well, I did see, I happened across the main page of the Stowe site, the ARC site, and saw a new episode. There's a new episode.
Yes, actually they announced that today, Tuesday, March 17th. We are going to be getting here on the 26th, if I remember my reading correctly, a new episode that continues the current major ongoing storyline, which will feature Denise Crosby doing more voiceover work as Sela.
Excellent.
We are going to apparently be hunting another Dyson Sphere that will be used against the Alpha and Beta Quadrant powers.
Really?
Because it has some sort of invasion force that the Iconians are massing.
Interesting.
So we'll see, and apparently we'll see much sooner than I would have thought.
We saw one of those in all of Trek, and now they're like all over the place.
Well, technically one of them is the one we saw, so hey.
All right. What else?
Oh, and one other little minor thing. Apparently, some of this will take place in the Andromeda Galaxy.
Oh.
So it's funny because not terribly long ago, I actually watched the episode with the Andromedans when they turned everybody into little food cubes.
Well, everybody needs food.
So there's that, and also minor things. They're expanding the specialization trees. At least in the near future, the piloting one is going to get 2 more tiers to it,
Oh.
and all of the tiers will now be swappable as primary and secondary. So you can, if I'm understanding what I read correctly, you can now make command or intelligence a secondary power, and make piloting and what's the other one I'm forgetting?
Commando.
Commando. You can make it a primary power.
Nice.
The downside, any power that is designated a secondary power, you only have access to the first 2 tiers of abilities.
I see.
So there's a trade-off if you make intelligence or command your secondary power. But at the same time, it also means you can now get access to this whole, and there's a blog about it that came out today, the whole tier 3 and tier 4 power set that they're going to be. In fact, I think, yes, it actually is part of the triple patch notes that came out today too. So
That's cool.
you can go test it out and find out how broken it is and
Wow.
all that good stuff.
Hey, I could be a primary pilot and do my rock and roll all day. Love it.
Yeah, that's I've been rocking the rock and roll a lot lately against a certain critter because it's like an insta save.
Yeah, I haven't touched that at all. This has been my only, focus lately, and just doffing in general. I haven't even touched my mission yet, but I should be getting back into that. What about you? Any foundrying lately?
Me? I had the editor open the other day because I was actually trying to help somebody figure something out, and
Yep.
that's about as far as I got lately. I've tried to have it open. I've tried to get work done, but I just haven't had I figure I need to wait another couple weeks because we'll have downtime. That's always when I feel most productive, is right at downtime. So, yeah.
Okay. All right. How about you, Kendra? Any foundry?
Well, I've been thinking about it. Does that count?
Yeah.
I've actually been thinking about several of my started but not finished missions, and I think it's actually quite likely that the one that is not connected to my current mission series will get done before the mission series does, because I really, really, really want the new Earth Space Dock map for my mission series, and I was going to try and make it without it, but I think I'm just going to hold out, because if I don't, it's going to be like, I'll finish it, and then they'll add the map, and they'll be like, oh, I should redo it, and then I'll be like, no, it's done. I don't want to redo it now. So I think I'm better off just waiting. So probably I'll end up working on my other one in the meantime.
Excellent. Excellent. Mine's just a massive, massive undertaking right now. You ask the question, what if the Dominion War didn't happen? And there are just so many variables, so many different ways to go with it. I just have to nail them down. Anyhow, enough about me. Our mission this week, our mission review, is of The Wounded Wolf by Akrilon. And I must say, I enjoyed this mission. I enjoyed this mission a great deal. That it was a fairly simple storyline. I mean, nothing, too contrived, but it had a lot of A lot of things to do. On your way.
Revenge!
Yeah. Well, a good revenge plot is, it's always nice to play. But it had the puzzle aspect of it. I thought was extremely well done.
There was math.
Yeah,
Yeah, I had mixed feelings about it. I mean, it was an extremely well done puzzle, and I really appreciate how hard it is to write a good puzzle, because I tried to write one and got very frustrated. But if I'm playing a game, I don't want to do math.
Well, there was the medical one too, which was kind of like the DeFury one.
Yeah, the medical one was nice. In fact, actually, I would kind of almost say there were two medical ones. Because there was the one where we had to make the triox.
Oh, yes. Yep.
But then there was also the diagnosis section.
Right. And those were good. Very good. Very good.
But, yeah.
The multiplying by pi. Yes, I understand.
Star Trek Online is not Eve. It does not come with a built-in calculator.
Well, fortunately, I had one handy.
Yeah.
But it was good. I like the idea of it, and I like the little twist. I don't want to go into and spoil it.
Sure.
It's not a new mission, but I noticed that for its age, it didn't have the plays that it probably should have.
And I will say that his interior work, especially using that was one of the Federation ship interiors. That's the trashed ones. And I forget which one it is exactly. But it's kind of telling just how big the map is that he built towards the ceiling of the map, and it still was I'll say, properly scaled interior, so that you didn't see the real ground at all.
Right. Yeah, he did a nice job of dressing that map. That was the one with the big mess hall.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, that was very good. Very good. And the characters were good. I liked his alien race. It all made sense.
My only real complaint kind of goes back to something we touched on that nobody really heard last week, was bridge officers telling me what I should and shouldn't do.
But I didn't think there was as much of that in this one.
There wasn't, but the lieutenant commander, who was so relieved for us to be there to take charge of things, certainly did want to order me around to save us, defend our station.
Yeah, it's true. And I was a little annoyed with the doctor. It's like, she's calling me Fleet Admiral, but she's telling me that she's not going to do anything for me.
Yeah, I just called her Pulaski and moved on.
Like, what? What are you talking about? You do what I tell you to do, and you'll do it now. But
no, here's my pesty assistant who's
yes, and
a screw up.
Yeah.
And I did have a little bit of an issue with a medical tech who I don't know that he would have made it out of Starfleet Medical.
Yeah, but I don't know if the tech was actually incompetent or the doctor herself was just unreasonable. It was.
Well, he at least told me how to make it right. He just, I guess maybe he has no confidence, but he's Bolian, so all he has to do is bleed on somebody.
Also, we should just mention the quick, upshot of the mission is that this captain who was assigned to a new starbase goes on a vengeful rampage to track down rebels who killed his lover, the commander of the
station's XO.
Station. Yes, and both male characters, which I thought was interesting. You don't see that a lot. It was actually good. It was good to see it, and I'm glad we have somebody making Foundry missions with that diversity.
Well, the big thing is it was just a matter of fact thing. Like,
No, it wasn't pushed in your face.
Exactly.
It
And
was, thought it was, damn good.
given some of the complaints I've seen about another thing recently that is vaguely Star Trek Online related, that's actually a very good thing. But yeah, overall, the mission is definitely worth checking out. I was trying to. Now, I don't know. Did either of you, since I played it with you, Kendra, that makes it a little more difficult. Did you notice a branching capability of some of the text?
I noticed it there, but the trouble with that is unless you play it more than once, you don't know.
Which, one side note, I don't recommend playing as a group, because if one of your party stays behind, and at one point you go to a certain location, you'll trigger a complete and total map change, which is awesome, but will sort of leave your partner stuck in something.
Yes, I know which one you're talking about. And, yeah, well, that's why I tend not to play in groups in anything. But,
well, it made
most
the
Foundry
fights
missions,
more interesting.
I don't know of any Foundry missions that I've played that were purely meant for groups. I would say the vast... Go ahead.
I was just going to say that the group thing isn't working right. Or they changed it. One of the two. It used to just bring the other person along, and it doesn't anymore when you first start the mission. And that's something...
I wonder if that maybe has to do with the fact that I'm a fleet admiral, level 60 now, and when they made the change, adding that 10 levels, if they kind of borked up something. So we'll have to see.
Yeah, but I would say the vast majority of Foundry missions are solo.
They realistically are, but sometimes it's nice to have somebody there to read all the dialogue.
See, I don't mind reading it. See, you people read books. I never do that, so when I get a chance to read, I don't mind. Boy. Anyway. Alright, are we done with that? I would say I gave him a 5-star rating.
I also gave him 5-star and full tip.
Yep.
I don't know of anything I would suggest changing. The storyline was fairly solid.
Yeah, and since, we're basically about the writing anyway, but I will say I was impressed with his dressing of that map as well.
Still not certain if they are the Zine or the Keen.
Well, I would say Zine. If it's Xeen.
See, that's just the thing, is I wasn't sure if it was actually a X pronounced or the CH pronunciation of X.
Right. Well, let's move on to our Trek episode.
Who Gods Destroy.
Yes. Lord Garth. Okay. Where are we here? There we go. So yes. This was what, a third season?
Third season, 14th episode, I believe.
I think so, yes.
It's either the 13th or the 14th.
Yeah. Because the show was winding down. But you could tell, some of it was just the cutting of costs, speaking of cutting back. I have the picture up of the 4 henchmen. The 2 main guys were Tellarite and Andorian. Garth's 2 main henchmen.
Yes.
But, you got these other 4 guys that are hanging around, and I guess you're supposed to figure they're of different races because of what they're wearing. Either that or just all funny-looking humans in strange clothes.
Basically, yeah. And for the most part, the set, it was, I won't quite call it a ship in a bottle episode, but it was basically, let's use as many of our Enterprise Corridor sets as we can in one thing. And, oh, hey, we've got this set dressing from when we did Amok Time. Let's put that on the wall. And
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, they definitely were using leftovers, just things they had used already. But as episodes go, it was good. There was a little filler. They did a lot of they spent a little too much time on Marta's dancing routine. That went on a little long, but in the coronation.
And I do question that there are only 15 insane people left in the universe.
Yeah, true. But
And that
do we
this
know that this was the only?
The way they said it was that this was like the few undesirably insane people left in the Federation, and that this magic elixir they were about to give them was going to make them whole again.
The medicine.
Yes, back in the day when one pill makes you larger and one pill makes you small.
Yeah. And Batgirl, Green Batgirl.
But yeah, that was an example of I would say Gene Roddenberry's vision gone a little too optimistic. Though to be fair, I don't think he had much, if anything, to do with this season.
Well, I don't know.
I really need to get my hands on Mark Cushman's book. Which, totally side note plug, if anybody out there wants a great set of histories for the entirety of the filming of the original series, Mark Cushman's These Are the Voyages, seasons 1 through 3, totally worth the money.
I did find it enjoyable just to see again. I mean, I don't watch TOS an awful lot anymore because, from the time I was born until the time I was, 15 years old, all I had was 79 episodes. So I watched them over and over and over and over and over again until the film came out. But this episode is the basis for Tim Russ's project, right? Axanar. It's all based on
No. Tim Russ isn't actually doing Axanar. This is Alec Peters and a couple of other people.
Oh, that's right. What am I saying?
Tim Russ is Renegade.
Renegades. That's right. Damn. Well, anyway, that's all right.
But yes, this is Alec Peters.
The one with J.G. Hertzler and
right, with Hertzler and Tony Todd and original Apollo. I
don't know. I can't remember his name right now.
That's so sad. I just blanked on his name.
Yeah, I can't believe I mixed them up. But yes, because there are two major projects going on at the same time.
Which also, another side note, if you people have not seen the Prelude to Axanar teaser that they did for the movie that they're working on, you need to wait until we're done talking and totally go and watch it.
I have seen it. It's good.
It's done at the Prelude thing, which is just simply, I'll call it a sizzle reel for what they're going to work on. It's a documentary style. Think Ken Burns does an early war of the Federation versus the Klingons.
Yeah.
It's worth checking out. Their Kickstarter made a ton of money to get their production underway, so I'm expecting good things from them. There's a lot. We've actually met a lot of the people who have dealings with it, and I think they're going to do something great in the fan world.
Oh, it looks wonderful. It looks better than anything that I've seen.
And what it covers is the Battle of Axanar, which was the pivotal turning point of what's called the 4-year war between the Federation and the Klingons. And Garth of Izar was the principal architect of this victory for the Federation. Now, later on, Garth is horribly injured and is treated by an alien race who teach him the ability to modify his material structure, really.
Yeah, to heal himself. But
it also gives him certain delusions of grandeur and the ability to impersonate just about anybody he wants.
Right. It's his he perverted it into a shape-shifting power. I don't think the alien race didn't. It just gave him the power to heal. But he's such a genius that he not only can alter this alien race's power, he can also invent the most effective explosive ever known.
Yes, for being a prisoner in a mental health facility, he certainly had access to a lot of technology to build with.
Right, they must have let him loose in some kind of super lab, because he came up with all this stuff. I gotta notice that some of the continuity problems. There's that first scene where he's in the transporter room and he's trying to beam up to the Enterprise, and when Scotty gives him the first part of the secret code, he gets frustrated. He bangs on the console and the knob breaks. I don't know if you noticed this.
Yes.
But the knob breaks and it's just kind of hanging over there.
You see it. Yeah, you see it bounce on the console.
Right, and then the very next scene, in that same room, you're expected to think it was, at the same time. The knob is back and glued back onto the.
Right. Plus, also, if you notice when he turns back into Garth, something
it's his ring.
Part of his jacket. Yeah, it was his ring. Okay.
Yeah, see that ring in the picture? That went sprawling across the floor. But, that could happen. Here we go.
Everybody, say hello to our fourth cast member.
Oh, yeah. Don't worry. He'll be all right.
Kendra, did you have any thoughts on the episode, or?
Well, it's kind of interesting because I'm sort of coming at it from the opposite perspective as you guys, because I'd never seen it before, and I'm just watching the original series for the first time now, actually, and I'm not up to season 3 yet. So it's very interesting for me, having started with The Next Generation, went on to Deep Space Nine, then to Voyager, going back to watch the original series, and kind of seeing bits and pieces of what later was developed into the other 3 series, because really you can look at the storylines and you see bits and pieces scattered throughout and developed into different stories. And I think in a way that's kind of what we do with the Foundry, is we take the original stories, and not just Trek, but ideas from different places, and develop them further and change them slightly, or even take an unfinished thought from one of the episodes and expound on it. It's kind of the same thing that Trek has done all along. They've built on what was already there.
Yeah, that's true. I always try to do it. I always try to have a piece of something in my missions. Something that touchstones.
Yeah, that's why I'm constantly going on about the one that you did, Till Death Do Us Part, is because I loved what you did with taking the DS9 episode and then expounding on what could have happened. That any kind of Foundry mission that takes something that's essentially Trek and expounds on it and explores it, I think is just a wonderful mission.
Well, thanks. Yeah, it's interesting, because if you watch it enough, and I have to say I do constantly. I mean, I've rewatched the series. I can't even tell you how many times anymore. I've lost count. But you pick up on these little lines that never went anywhere. Like, I always thought it was interesting. You remember the Pale Moonlight, which is one of my favorite episodes of all time of any Trek. But when Garrick tells Sisko that, he's he's got to come up with biomimetic gel for this person who's getting the data rod from. Now, what happened to that guy in that biomimetic gel? And I made a whole mission out of that. Just because you never hear about it again.
Yeah, it's true.
But anyhow, yeah, yes, Garth of Izar was a tremendous, he was an iconic hero of the Federation. And he ends up in this insane asylum. I mean, this is the basis of the episode. And in the end, he's cured. Well, he's on his way to a cure because I guess he gets the medicine. But basically, a third season episode where not much really happens. It all takes place on one set. And doesn't really go very far. Really, I mean, as an episode goes, I don't think it was one of the best. Even if, it had the groundwork for some things that came later. This particular episode was probably not in my top 20.
No, but you have to admit that the performance, and I'm going to mangle his name most likely, Steve Inott, the gentleman who played Garth.
Right.
He ate up the scenery whenever he was on.
Oh, true. He did the best with what he had, that's for sure.
Him and his mismatched boots and his Catwoman draped over him.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, his Orion.
Yes, but... Yes and no. I mean, they hadn't thought up the pheromone thing yet, I'm sure. But, she definitely didn't have the control she should have at being an Orion female. Over all those guys.
Yeah, especially one trained by Bruce Wayne.
Okay. Whom gods destroy. I think we've said enough about it. What do you think?
I think we should have done more green people ones since it's all St. Patrick's Day and stuff. But
that's true. But we just did an Enterprise. If we would have, we could have gone back to that same episode. It was because it had that big Orion sequence in it, and then there was the other one with the 3 Orion women who come aboard.
The sisters, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Or the cage, or the menagerie.
Well, the cage only had her for a split second, really. It was just one scene where his hallucination of being a slave trader. That was a great episode, though. I mean, the pilot was...
too good for 1965.
Yes. Yeah. Although, Jeffrey Hunter was okay, but I don't know if it would have become what it became if it hadn't been for Shatner.
Well, we look at it this way. He and Nimoy worked right up to today, and or as far as they could, their bodies would let them.
Yeah.
So, obviously, there is a charisma there that keeps them going.
Yeah, and to tell you the truth, he didn't get any real, credit until later in his life. And it wasn't until he was on Boston Legal, right?
Well, yeah, I mean...
Emmys and everything else.
Yeah, well, we've always made fun of his Shatner acting ability. But there's obviously something there, because the man is, 82?
Mm-hmm.
And he is still running himself ragged, doing charity work and appearances and commercials and television
That's true.
stuff and producing.
He's like at every convention. He seems to be, like the standard guest now. This is something he hated doing. Now, after his change of heart.
Plus all the documentary work. Let's not forget that.
Yeah. Well, you got to remember where he started, too. It was a Canadian Shakespeare Company. The Stratford Shakespeare Company.
Yep.
And, he and Christopher Plummer. Chang. It's stage acting is a lot more because people are sitting so far back they can't really see your eyes. It's not like film where we can see right in an actor's face and into their eyes. The acting for film is all in the face and all in the eyes, but on stage you have to be kind of over the top with your body movements and the way your voice projects. So
yes, but Patrick Stewart.
Yes.
Royal Shakespeare Company.
Right, but he does that. I saw him on Broadway doing Christmas Carol, and he had to be more flamboyant, more over the top. He just didn't carry it over to film with him like Shatner did. Shatner acted in front of a camera the same way he acted in front of an audience. I don't think Stewart did.
Except for that one episode where he got to have fun with it, where he had to get Lwaxana Troy back from the Ferengi.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know. I thought he enjoyed his turn as Robin of the Hood.
Yeah. Well, I think he enjoyed a lot of it. I think that the first season he probably hated it, and then, realized that he could have a great deal of fun. Relax and have a good time.
I know, and what's sad is I look at Patrick Stewart and I see him as this severe, very serious man based on the way he acts on Star Trek, and then I see him on Twitter and he's wearing a lobster suit in a bathtub.
Yeah, well, he can afford to now. I don't think he ever has to work again if he doesn't want to, but I wonder if he'll be back as Xavier one of these days.
Well, apparently not in the next movie, but
no.
That's another universe.
It's okay. I love all of it. Okay. Alrighty. Let's see. We're pretty much almost ready to wrap it up here, I think. I mean, I'm hoping that we get to go a little bit longer as time goes on, but we're just starting this, so... unless there's anything anyone wants to say, any topic, anything...
Well, was there anything that you wanted demonstrated in the Foundry, Kendra? I believe something was mentioned previously.
No, that's okay.
All right, well, that's all right. Okay, then. I'm not going to read any mail because we didn't get any mail I'm aware of.
But if people wanted to send us mail, where could they send it to, Paul?
Oh, they could send it to us at mailbag@theauthorsoutpost.com. That will be up in the end credits when I play them shortly.
And of course, we will take mission suggestions, topic suggestions, things you'd like to see demonstrated in the Foundry in a videological manner.
Right. Either mail it to us, or if Pax has any ideas, he's in the chat room right now. Just, don't be shy. Yell it out, if you know. All right, and I think that's it for this week. We'll try to fill it up a little more as we go.
Next week, Paul will demonstrate how to make a mass grave and show the horrors of war on live television.
Maybe I'll sing a song. You never know.
No, I'll sing a song, and we'll have no viewers again.
Hey, at least, it can be said that we don't have filler on our show. Goes by real fast. For now. All right. That's going to be the end of it tonight, I believe. It's Captain P.F. Dennis signing off.
And this is Casmodian, also signing off. We're pushing this pretty red button.
And thank you guys for having me again.
Not a problem. You never know about next week. We'll see what we can do. All right. Good night, everybody.